Hey, this is Matthew Dean with the Musician Network, and I'm hanging out with Brian from Charley's Guitar Shop. Now, Charley is Charley Wirz, the founder of the Guitar Show back in 1978. Now, you said you had you met Charley when you were much younger.
Several times.
Several times.
Yep.
And now, you described him as somewhat of a mythical figure to you when you were a kid.
Iconic figure.
Iconic.
Is what I would say. Yeah, he was a larger-than-life guy. He, you know, you never knew whether you were going to get a happy Charley or an unhappy Charley when you walked in, but he was usually very consistent. When you needed a part or you needed something repaired or you needed to know the answer to something, you went to Charley's. I mean, they weren't necessarily the friendliest guys, but back in those times, you got to understand, back in the 70s, when you went to music stores, most of the guys that were working at a music store were real snobby assholes, you know, they local band guys.
Yeah.
And the thing that I liked about Charley and Renee was they were like there for the real musicians, not they were the musicians, and they were upset because they weren't playing, and you know they had to wait on people. He owned the place. He was just a super cool guy, and he really took a lot of cats under his wing. You know, a lot of guys who went on to fame, you know. Even Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Well, I had read that. He actually built one of Stevie's guitars, right?
Yeah, he built one of Stevie's guitars and helped him get a lot of the others. And, you know, of course, the famous white Charley Strat, that's probably lipstick pickup Strat was a real big one. But other guys, like, you know, a lot of people don't know Gatemouth Brown's guitar came from Charley Wirz. I know guys, a guy I play with now in another band, he's got one of Charley's old tellies. I mean, there's a lot of cats out there who got something that Charley gave them, a little piece of something. And he was, I mean, he seemed like a hard guy on the exterior, but I mean, he was there for a lot of guys. I have a friend of mine who, when he did his recital for classical guitar studies, Charley and Renee came to the recital. I mean, blew him away, you know. When I was a kid, I guess I had been about 17, he bent over backwards to do this repair for me that was really important, and he did it that day. And the cool thing was, while I was sitting there waiting, he gave me a beer. He didn't know how old I was. But he was just a cool guy. I mean, he ran a shop. He repaired stuff. He had stuff nobody else had. Now, I wouldn't go to Charley if I had a vintage guitar that I wanted to sell, because he was in the vintage guitar business. Back then, there was a sucker on every corner who had an old guitar that didn't know what it was worth.
Yep.
But on the other hand, he was also there for you to tell you what it was worth, to be honest about stuff like that, or parts that you needed. And he was something, man. He and Renee were something. They really, it was a pretty dark thing that happened in '85 when he passed.
Yeah.
What we do at Charley's, what I like to think we do at Charley's, we're trying to keep alive that thing that a lot of guys did, like what Charley Wirz did in the '70s into the '80s. What Eugene did in the 80s and into the 90s, to have a shop where guys could come and hang, talk shit about guitars, look for parts, hang out, not get ripped off.
Yeah.
And we're there to be the anti-guitar center, I guess. We're the opposite of Guitar Center.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stores out there trying to do that too, and I can understand.
Well, I mean, there certainly is going to be a need for that. I mean, you don't go buy your suit at Walmart, do you? You know,
no, you don't.
You probably buy other stuff there, though. So, you know, you not always. Guitar Center's an ugly thing that's on every end of every street corner. It has to be there. It only does good for us, because if it promotes guitar, eventually, when you mature, you'll end up.
It's sort of a way to create more musicians, and it gives them a beginning and a starting point, and then you come to the professionals later.
Then you come to us. I mean, I think Charley is not rolling around in his grave right now because there's Guitar Centers. I mean, this. When I think Guitar Show, Dallas Guitar Show, I think Guitar Show, period, because he started the whole thing.
Yeah.
And also, credit needs to go to John Brinkman, who partnered with him, and Danny Thorpe, too. Those guys, those were the guys who came up with this idea. And Charley ran with it. Those are the cats that did it. Other people are taking credit for that, and that's bad. Other people remain nameless. Those are the guys that started it. And when I think Guitar Show, it could be the Dallas Show, it could be the Arlington Show. I just think that, you know, a spirit of a guy like Charley lives on in that, to create a guitar culture. You know, there's car culture, there's all that stuff. People don't know, but there's a guitar culture.
This is true. I mean, and this is a testament to it, I think, with what, 18,000 people here.
Sure.
This is a testament to guitar culture.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, That's what we're about. We're about guitar culture. I think people don't even realize it, that it's, you know, until recently when you got the popularity now of choppers and hot rods and tattooing and all that, this kind of counterculture, now they're separating it. Guitar culture's been the basis for all of that. You know, rock and roll, blues, whatever, man, country, bluegrass, guitar culture's been around a long time. I think Charlie would be pretty proud to see that it just continues to grow. Kids are still picking it up. Even though everybody claims it's dead, people are still picking up and doing something with it.
I think he's left a hell of a legacy.
I think so.
Yeah, this is it. Well, thanks for talking to us.
Hey, thank you.